very good morning to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 9th day of October 2023. Quite a lot happening today as far as our news cycle is concerned, and this includes the President's program in Nyanza. And for the President today, earlier this morning, he assented to the privatization bill at the Kisumu State Lodge. I'll just be giving you details of that in a short while. And after that, he sat down to meet with the cabinet. And later, expected from around 11 a.m., the president will be commissioning MV Uhuru 2 at the Kisumu shipyard. This is as part of the Kenya Shipping Lines, a firm that was established for the manufacturing of maritime vessels. And in the afternoon, it will be the launch of the Bondo Luanda Road in Bondo constituency. So Wycliffe Okech is our reporter at that event, and he is going to be taking us through that. And just to mention about the president's program today, already he has assented to the privatization bill of the bill number 22 of the National Assembly of 2023, which was originated by the cabinet and sponsored by the leader of majority, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and it was assented just over a month ago. So it repeals the Privatization Act of 2005. This was enacted before the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And so the whole essence of it is to make sure that the privatization process of non-strategic and loss-making government entities has got a less bureaucratic process. So the delivery and infrastructure of public services through the involvement of private capital and expertise, thus reducing the need for government resources to be used. So the bill has also provided for the establishment of the Privatization Authority, and this has to go through parliamentary approval, especially for the appointment of members of the authority. And the privatization program and the sharing of responsibilities has been indicated there, and the role of the National Assembly shall be mainly to ratify that. That has been indicated in the new act, in the Privatization Act of 2023, as it is now known. And remember that the act does not apply to, 1, sale of shares in the secondary market, sale of shares by a social security fund, compensation fund, or pension funds, or an insurance fund that are under public control, and also the sale of new shares to existing shareholders through a rights issue. And it also indicates how the proceeds of sale shall be paid into the consolidated funds, dispute resolution, and also it indicates that any ongoing privatization under the Act of 2005 now shall be determined and finalized in accordance with the Privatization Act of 2023. That is the first from briefing that we have received from Kisumu, as His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, continues with his tour of the Nyanza region. So currently, he's chairing the cabinet meeting, Kisumu State Lodge, and after that, to the Kisumu shipyard for the commissioning of MV Uhuru 2, and later he'll be going for the Bondo Luanda Road launch. Now, the International Commission of Jurists, they are meeting today, and this is to talk about the World Day Against the Death Penalty. Kenya currently has got 101 people on death row. So the ICJ wants that law removed, such that if anything, the maximum penalty would be life in prison. It has been a very huge discussion, and that is what our reporter Kastiana Masha will be taking a look at. It's the International Day of the Girl Child, celebrated on the 11th day of October every year. It's part of the United Nations program. And so, knowing tomorrow is a public holiday then makes it easier that all activities are made known today. So we're going to be told all about what's going to be happening on that day. And also, there is the Africa Continental Qualification Framework Conference that is taking place today. And it is going to, they will bring together experts from 35 countries in Africa to discuss about how this works. So this has started today, and we'll be keeping tabs on it as part of our news cycle, in addition to keeping up with what's happening elsewhere in the country, in Kisumu, and also in Mombasa. Our teams are on the beat. Now, also, sports-wise, we'll be talking about two sports today. One, we know that the world record in the men's marathon was lowered yesterday to 2 hours 35 seconds by Kelvin Kiptum in Chicago. What is the outlook for that? Plus also seeing Sifan Hassan run the second fastest time by a woman in the marathon. So we'll be talking with John Veslin about that later today. But also there is one sport, they always, it has got its own reputation, but there are people who are earning a living for it. In studio today, I've got two gentlemen. We've got Michael Kirago, who's chairman of PERAC, Pubs and Restaurants Association of Kenya, and we've got Pastor Nganda, who's from the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation. And they're going to be talking to us about this because a couple of weeks ago, Kenya hosted the continent, and not just the continent, but there were pool players from around the world representing, from Europe also, including our world champion, and the impact of it. And at the moment, the Kenyan team is finalizing their plans to take part in the All Africa 8-ball pool championships. Gentlemen, welcome. And I'll start with you, Michael, and the whole, just give us, the whole impact of the Africa Challenge that the showcase that was hosted in Nairobi a couple of weeks ago. What was the outlook for that, and how did the people who went to that place, react to the pool skills that we witnessed there?
Actually, thank you for hosting us today. I'll start with apologies from Wandiadi, who's the Secretary General for KPB. She was supposed to be here, but she couldn't make it. It was amazing because we actually came to find out our skills are not up to par as we thought they were. There are people who just make things look easy, while actually we know from years and years of training that it's not easy at all. So there was people from 10 countries. It was held at a club on Ngong Road called Mchana Club. And we got to see live, actually, for a lot of people, for the fans, Kenyan fans, it was the first time they got to see actually pool being played by world-class people. We were lucky enough to have the world champion, who's from South Africa. This year, actually, Africa is taking its place on the international stage when it comes to pool. Even the lady winner was actually also a South African. She went on to win. So when actually we had and seeing these people, being able to interact with them, it inspired a lot of the younger generation and everyone there to see actually there's a future in this. And it's a sport. I know you said about reputation and what happens, but they came to see that we're actually talking about something someone can work up, practice, and make a living out of.
Actually, the phrase that is usually used, and it was stolen from snooker, is proficiency. In the sport, is a sign of a wasted youth. So I don't think a lot of our people have wasted their youth, maybe South Africans. But Pasio, just tell us, from the Kenyan perspective, we have seen pool competitions that have taken place before. I remember there was, I think the biggest was Simba Kenya, just over 20 years ago, and there are those that have been there. What has been the growth of the sport as competitive as it was? Because I think when pool was reintroduced about just close to 30 years ago, it suddenly shot up and quick skills were picked up.
Well, I agree with you that pool, once pool was initiated in Kenya some many years ago, it came up well. It shot up, as you're saying. But then somehow, after the Simba Kenya, it got cold, and the efforts to revive it were actually on an individual capacity. Say like individual sponsors are holding tournaments, especially the recent one where we saw the whole continent coming here to play pool as a sport. We saw, like he said, the world champion came along. We had many international players, and also we had actually 3 African champions who came along to play pool in Kenya.
Actually, I'll be coming back to that.
Yes.
But what was that phenomenal growth that came around just around the turn of the millennium, especially when we had that Simba Kenya?
Yes, we owe it to the corporates that came on board that time. We had Castle Lager, who actually are the ones who provoked other corporates to come on board, then followed East African breweries in the name of the competition dubbed Simba wa Kenya, which was held like 3 times, and then sort of Pool, at that time, Pool did not get the clamor that ought to have been. And then it went down a little bit. I can say only individual efforts, personal efforts from interested parties that have brought Pool this far. And we have tried in a number of occasions to bring the government on board or to promote Pool as a sport. Because when you look at it, Pool is one game that is very popular. Actually, I would say it is second to football, but by far leading game when it comes to team and individual participation. Yeah.
Let me come to this, because where Pool started, before we got pool halls, you know, where people are putting up tables under sheds and all that, it was through pubs, restaurants. How much of an effect did it have, you know, post Simba wa Kenya in the early 2000s? Because that's where, you know, we talk about the cup from those who played it.
Because I remember myself personally playing it, it was not even only the pools and the pubs. We had even in town where we had whole buildings on the bottom, which is now stalls. If I remember, down Luthuli, all those areas going up, all those empty spaces on the ground were just full of pool tables. There are people who used to wear a suit, leave their houses in the morning, and go and play pool the whole day. That time was a bit of gambling and everything. But it actually became even a working thing for them. So I think in those years, about that 2005, 6, I think it fizzled out. All those places got cut up into shops, and so people had less and less places to play it, where there was no so-called influence of the bars and the whatever, because we understand, yes, that is for some people, they don't want to be seen in a bar to play pool. But we did have pool halls. We had pool halls we had pool tables in the old halls, if you see, in the county halls, yes, where there used to be the sports, people had boxing, people had what. There used to be pool tables in such, but also those places are fizzled out because they closed down. The county was no longer sponsoring, I don't know why, but a lot of, actually that even brings the problem with the youth, because that's where the youth used to go and not get into problems.
Yeah, there were the social halls.
Yes,
that was the reason.
Yes. So now they didn't have anywhere to go. So I think that is the thing, hopefully we are trying to bring back, get government involved to reopen these places and have places for the youth to access the sport without necessarily having to go to a bar or something like that.
And it also brings in an issue because, you know, there are those who may be endowed enough to own a pool table in their homes, or maybe they find that they can have a snooker table, just sister sports to it. What are the things that you're seeing as a challenge outside of, you know, adult establishments for adults only? Think schools. Think, well, should I say? Think even marketplaces.
Well, pool has not lost it. When you go to our universities, our colleges, TVETs and all that, you'll find some of them, most of them have provided a whole hall that they have established pool tables that students do recreate by shooting pool in those arenas. When pool is social, it is very interactive. Number two, pool game does not take much space where it is normally built. Again, pool has no age demarcation. Good. Pool has no gender demarcation. Pool has no class. That's why you had Mike talk of guys coming from the office with their suits and ties and still shooting pool. So really, there are guys who wouldn't want to be associated probably with bars. And that's why today we are promoting pool in social halls. Say like even county halls and stuff like that. Something purposely just for pool, because students also require to play pool as a sport right from their schools. We would actually encourage if our secondary schools also provide halls, to where a table can be put, and that particular talent is harnessed right from that particular age, and that will make pool grow here in Kenya, and we can be competitive even in the world.
Now, the other thing is when it comes to pool, it is all down to the kind of, number one, especially when you're going to play professional pool, because that's what the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation is pushing, is the equipment. Let's start basically with the pool table. What is it that you require? Because to use Kenyan language, they always say, imeza in a drift. Such that if I come there with my bevel, my sliding level, then I would find that it's all fine. What are the requirements that you need?
Actually, basically, it's a pool table that you require, which basically measures 7 by 3 feet. So it doesn't take a lot of space. Just like you see table tennis. It's more or less the size of a table tennis. And then with the pool table, you also have the cue sticks. Of course, the pool table comes with balls. The pool table also got to be aligned. Why people say there are drifts is because when you're shooting balls, basically for you to be effective and pot a ball, it has to go on a straight line without dents or something like that, yeah? Without deviating from the target that you're aiming. So it's basic alignment of the table. But I think what to be appreciated here is that pool table takes very little space. Actually, that's why you find it is affordable even to be erected in bars and social places with a lot of ease.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pastor Ngasa speaking to us about that. And just a news update is that there has been a major development, and this is of monumental significance in the fight against corruption. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO, Twalib Mbarak, will be addressing a press conference in Chale Island, Kwale, today. And we shall be expecting that announcement. So this follows a major development in the monumental significance in the fight against corruption. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO, Twalib Mbarak, will address a press conference in Chale Island in Kwale County today. And let us just go straight there and listen to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO Twalib Mbarak. Okay. We apologize. We're having a technical hitch getting that signal coming in from Kwale, in Chale Island in Kwale, and so we shall be following up on that. It's a major development on the fight against corruption in the country. So once we have that signal coming through, we shall be moving over to Chale Island in Kwale and hear from EACC CEO Twalib Mbarak. Now, let's get back to a conversation, and it is about the African 8-Ball Pool Championship. So, and, you know, Kenya hosted just about a dozen countries just 2 weeks ago, and there are Kenyans going, 16 of them were expected to travel. So, and we're talking about this sport and everything that it does. We're with Michael Kirago, who's the chairman of the Pubs and Restaurants Association of Kenya, and Pastor Ngada from the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation. Michael, when you have been told you're going to host a tournament of this nature, one of the things you've got to provide is space. They always say that if there is no space, there is acoustic.
A smaller one.
A shorter one.
Kapienga.
Kapienga. Or there is an actor who's... how do you allocate this space such that there is fair play? I mean, for all the if you've got to have, say, 4 matches running concurrently.
I think, yeah, that's a very good point, because actually looking for fora where people can successfully hold these tournaments, there are not that many places with more than 1 or 2 tables. So this time round we found there where we're playing at Mchana, which has 7 tables. So it was quite easier for the championship. Actually, that championship took 4 days. It ran for 4 days. I think people arrived on a Wednesday and left on Monday. So I think the only comparable ones are in the...
Right. Michael, we'll be coming back to that, about space availability, especially when you're holding major championships. Now, so let's get back to a conversation, and we are speaking about the Africa 8-Pool Championship. It's taking place this week in South Africa, but the build-up was here in Kenya 2 weeks ago. And we are with Pasi Ongasa, who is on my far left. He's with the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation, and Michael Kiragu, who is the chairman of PERAC. Now, Michael, you were talking about space required, and you mentioned that for the Africa challenge that was here, you got a venue which has got 7 pool tables.
Yes.
So just tell us about that, because at one point, some of these pro pool players, they want the space to themselves at all times.
Yes. And this, even with those 7 tables and the space that was there, we were quite squeezed in, if we are being honest. So I think now it's time to, we're having national championship or something, that we'll have to actually now get spaces in these national stadiums. Why shouldn't there be some room in Nyayo Stadium? Why can't we get somewhere?
They have a gym.
Yes, but with somebody also put, we have to remember that in the next cycle, pool is going to be an Olympic sport. So we are here, we'll be, if we keep this movement running and everything, we should be sending a pool team to the Olympics. So we should also get, if we
apologies.
Yes. We have to remember that also pool is the highest tax-paying sport in this country, first of all. So I think we should get something back.
Let's explain that, because people may tie it to booze.
No. Actual pool tables, every pool table is taxed. It's taxed, which is something we are against at the moment, by the Betting and Licensing Control Board. We don't understand really why, but it's something that's been held. It's something that's been held back for a long time. And now at the county level, for example, Nairobi County charges 5,000 shillings per table as a license for you to have a pool table in your premises. So if you can imagine how many we have around 10,000 pool tables. Do the math. But there is zero support back from the government. But they are collecting this money. We wonder where that money goes.
All right, and let me just come to you, Pasi, because it brings in a factor. Is how do you separate, this the Betting Control and Licensing Board? Because the BCLB will come in when they realize that there is some activity, but they can't tie it to all of this vis-a-vis the Sports Act, which gives a federation a reason to lobby for tax waivers.
Well, let me slightly touch the issue of space and pool. Pool is one sport that will experience minimal challenge when it comes to space. If you look at even the areas that do not have much space, like the malls, look at Mudhurwa, look at marketplaces, look at Gikomba and all that. Those spaces, the little spaces that even people use to doing their clothing and all that, you'll find someone has gone and erected a pool table there. So pool table, being small, being sized at 7 foot to 3, and then you require only a radius of say like 4 feet for extension, especially for the person who is shooting. So pool really and space is not much challenge. That's why you find pool actually across all over the nation, and even at small radius of even like 50 meters, 100 meters, you find so many pool tables arranged, because they don't require that much attention when it comes to space. When it comes to the licensing, we may not have, we will not be competent with figures, but certainly for everyone who erects a pool table, they pay tax for it. That goes to Betting and Control, BCLB, something like that. Yeah, and they charge. So you can imagine how many pool tables. I'm sure those people listening to us and listening and hearing the word pool table, they must have either seen it, heard of it, because it is there even in our very own villages. When I go to the village, that market, the small market at my village, has even 7, 10 pool tables. And that is the norm for every village in Kenya. That tells you pool is very popular. That tells you pool tables are so many. And there is a lot of tax levied and gotten from those pool tables. In fact, today, the pool players should not be agonizing about even participating in South Africa championships, because there's a lot of money that is collected through that sport.
Well, very interesting. It's only that the BCLB funding vis-a-vis what is envisaged for the sports fund, the channeling is different. And so looking at it, at the impact of that, for example, if I go set up, say this studio, decide to convert it, and I put in 10 pool tables, how then do I ensure that if BCLB, when I pay my BCLB things, how do they leave you, marked for that premises?
At the moment in Nairobi, BCLB is devolved to the county. So the county is who issued the license. It's a normal license like the other ones they give.
Actually, yes, that is a function of county government,
yes,
when it comes to that.
Yes. So they charge per table 5,000 shillings. This is in Nairobi now. Per table 5,000 shillings. So you're supposed to display the license next to the pool table.
So whoever you hosted had to pay 35,000 shillings per year? They had 7 tables.
Yes, they pay for the tables. Yes, because you'll find there has been times when the county askaris are going around looking for money, and they raid and come and carry balls, or they come and carry cue sticks until they see where is your license for the pool tables. Yes.
I think the amount you pay commensurate with the number of tables you have. If you have one, you pay 5,000. If you have several, you pay for that. And we have clubs here in Nairobi that actually have exhibited, and normally they have put up so many pool tables. I'll begin first with Mchana Pub and Grill along Gong Road. It has 7 of them. We have Clubhouse K1, which has more than 8 pool tables. So it's
That's
really
40,000.
yes, per annum. So it's really quite a revenue generating sport for Kenya, actually.
Well, very, very interesting numbers. You mentioned about cue sticks and the balls that are used. Just talk about the quality of cue sticks that we used. I think previously, I think Tuwei was here sometime, and he came in with different cue sticks. Because what he uses to break is not what he uses to play. Just tell us about that regulation.
I think even I'll hark back to the actual tables, because we have tables where you can get locally made tables, anywhere from 50,000 shillings till the places where now, for example, where you are saying where we play, where they have got supreme tables brought in from the UK, where it would cost you anywhere from 300 to 500,000 to 600,000 shillings for a table. So the difference in terms of quality is huge. So the way you are talking about drift, the way you're talking about other things, there is a huge difference. The tables that the World Championships are played on those streams compared to my table for maybe Kariobangi for 50,000, there is a huge difference in the playing, as well as the cue sticks. Because to say maybe personally, like me, I have a cue stick, which maybe is worth maybe 15,000, but there's a cue stick for 1,000 shillings. So that's the difference. There's a huge difference. So you'll find that a lot of places, those are house cues between 1,000 and 3,000, 4,000 shillings. And then you'll find people who now actually, they want to move forward with their game. Just like people who are playing golf or any other sport, your personal items you will invest because you want to be better in the sport. Yes.
Well, actually, when you talk about golf, if you try swing with what a pro uses,
so actually,
you actually won't get anywhere.
Quality matters and differs from one investor to the other, one individual to the other. You wouldn't really expect, say, like people playing in makeshifts, those Mabati built arenas, because there are tables all over, to invest, say, like 400,000 worthy of a table in a makeshift. And people still play a lot of pool from there. And so it depends on one's investment and where they want to go and the quality they want to keep at their own base.
Okay. Now, talking about all of that, so you've got that. Competition-wise, selecting a team, say, for example, for the Africa 8-ball championship, just what format do you use? Because pool is a game, how would I say, when you have these knockout formats, today you will have a good, you'll have a good day, you'll have a good week. The following week it will be different. How do you run this, Pasi?
Well, let me just begin from this year. The selections that went around this year through Kenya Pool Billiards Federation. They made it so inclusive such that it all began from the sub-counties. They established venues at the sub-county level. People competed there. Those who qualified from the sub-counties went on to compete again at the county levels. Then those who qualified from county levels came to Nairobi to compete for the nationals. And that was the climax of the selection. So the 8 men and the 8 ladies who got selected had to start it all the way from the grassroots, from the sub-county level to the county level up to the national level. The criteria was as easy as they used a round robin mode of play, whereby if you are like 20 players from say the sub-county, then each player plays the other. So that you marshal enough, you play enough games such that...
That is 19 matches if you're 20.
Yes, you play so many games such that whoever comes there comes out refined. You don't get us, you come out because they were looking for Team Kenya. And it had to be thorough, vigorous, such that you establish, it wasn't about luck. It had to be very refined. You had to go through, to pass through fire for you to be among the Kenya team, to make it to the Kenya team.
What was the experience, for example, from what you witnessed, Michael?
I'm sure Pasi is saying he passed through fire because he made it to the Kenya team unexpectedly, I might add. Because he's the muzee of the team. The guy who has come from the legend from the past, he has made it through, which is a good thing, I think. Congratulations to him.
Thank you.
Through that process, we saw a good thing. Me, myself, I fell out at the county level. But I think we enjoyed it. We saw it. It's the first time, I think, in a long time we've seen the reach out to the grassroots level. One issue maybe I would have with it was that, in my opinion, we need to reach out to those what is calling makeshifts, because I think we have a whole strata of pool that is going unrecognized. This is the youth. What I understood when we had the foreign players coming 2 weeks ago, the average age of those teams coming was very low. We had the team from Zimbabwe, and I think the oldest person in the Zimbabwe team was 23 years old. So you see where they are really nurturing their talent and pulling through the youth.
You're playing with somebody, you're telling him, hey, go easy, son.
Yes. So we had an issue where the people who are around us playing as Team Kenya, they are legends, but we don't really have youth coming through. That's not saying that they are not playing. It's that there's a disconnect between those makeshifts and where we are playing pool to choose the teams and everything. So I think this is another reason why we were talking maybe about the government sport and everything. That structure in order to reach out to every village and see who is the best there and nurture that talent where they can come and we see them playing maybe in Nyayo Stadium and say maybe it's like, let's say in football, where you see those best players, they said they started playing with this ball made of paper. Yes, How you get that Ronaldinho from the streets is what we need to turn around and turn that and put through this sport in Kenya and make it available to everybody.
You mentioned earlier that you have got to, it's the federation and well-wishers who come in and push this. What's the criterion of getting the competition to run? Because we are talking now at pool as a professional level,
Sure.
where people are actually could be making money. Besides, what is what the sport is more known for, the other side where people, the gambling and that. How do you trying to get this going?
Let me first appreciate that we've come of the age that offers counseling and guidance in pool matters. And we really could appreciate structures that bring out the youthful person to the status that they can bring Kenya glory in the sport of pool. Mm-hmm. Now, that's why earlier I talked of introducing pool in secondary schools, introducing pool in halls, such that we bring on board stakeholders, corporates that would provide facilitation so that we can grow the sport from basic age. Mm-hmm. Say like anyone over 18 years, they can participate. Our neighbors, Uganda, have even up to 16 years playing pool, though not professional, but when they turn 18, they're always are people that can really exhibit nice shooting skills and compete internationally. Yes.
Running this competition, what's the cost? Forget what we had a couple of weeks ago. Running this national championship, how are you reaching out to people across the country? Because every town maybe has got somebody who helps coordinate all of this sport.
Well, let me say I owe it to the KPBF. They tried a lot. They tried going to the grassroots. The structure they're following is such that now, in the coming years, say like in the next year, since they're also young in it, in the coming year, they'll try go down. When they go down to sub-county level, they'll also try and reach the locations, identify and scout talents there, who they will nurture and bring up to sub-county level, to county level, and also be exposed at the national level. So there are structures in place that will require facilitation for them to be effective. And actually, we're looking at maybe approaching corporates, approaching the government, so that they can venture into this.
Now, from your associations now, from your association, Michael, let's now talk about this association and how you can help support the game. And, for example, even with those around you, such that you've got the people who put up the little sheds, and when it comes to a competition, then let them come to a table and, to an establishment that is there. People do watch and enjoy. And if possible, you can even have tickets for people to watch those tournaments.
Yes. From our point of view, I'd say from the businessman point of view, at the end of the day, every investment has to bring back something. So depending on where you are, if you get your pool table, you have to charge to make sure that it makes sense. You have to pay the attendant, you have to keep up with maintenance and such things. So that's where the distorted becomes. What the easiest way, I think, because our individual members are the ones who now invest in these facilities. And the easiest way, which at some point actually we are looking to partner with, there was someone who wanted to try and do this, whereby we would have actual leagues between the pubs. So yes, we are playing this team, we are playing this team. So that has come, it's worked before, it's fizzled out, it's worked before. But what it needs is an actual proper structure, whereby we know we are going to visit this other pub, we are playing a game of pool, and I've seen it work very well before. I've seen this work very well in Uganda. In Uganda, it's gotten to a point where it's an actual sport. There are people who wake up in the morning and their job is playing pool, whereby their club pays them. You are a sportsman. Yes, so you do your work every day, you're doing
KBC Pool Club.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think the closest thing we have here is maybe the rugby sort of thing, where you see most of the people who have paid rugby players have an affiliated job with the sponsor, because you find like Queen's players used to work in DH. No, what is it? Nondis used to work in DHL.
That was Nondis.
DHL. You found even when Impala, when the guy was there from the insurance company, was there. You find KBC, KCB. They have guys who. So there's that sort of that sort of support which we need. But again, that again now comes back to individuals. Even the tournament we had 2 weeks ago was sponsored by an individual. So it's without that goodwill among the fraternity of pool players and the places that are doing it. Personally, even last week we had the Queen's.
Yes,
Queen's
I was
story.
actually coming to that.
Yes, where that was at my establishment, where we were trying to help the ladies team get some funding. And surprisingly, it's very hard slog getting people on board to fund these missions. Yes.
Well, actually, let's talk about that, because you mentioned that, this is right at the start. It's a sport that knows no gender boundaries.
Yes.
Women taking up the sport. A lot has changed over the last 30 years, culturally, and how things happen. Just how have you seen women taking up this sport? Because I know Doreen would have been here to speak about it, but she sent her apologies because she's got a task ahead for this week.
Well, it's been quite positive. Ladies have come out and recognized pool as a sport, and they have spent their time on it, and they are participating very actively. We have preceding champions. In Uganda, we have a pool team for ladies, which can actually beat some of the African nations team for men. So really, South Africa the same.
In this country, when you say some, when you say some of us,
yes,
it is plural for me.
Yes. and recently, actually,
are you saying that the Ugandan women's team can give men a run for their money?
A run for their money. I can tell you that.
The lady pool cranes can
give a run. They may not take the money, but they can give a run of it. So actually, recently we witnessed our own ladies, people we didn't know that they have such skills, coming on board. I think it's about exposure, and also the investment in the game that will attract so many people who have talent to come on board. When a game has no much support, no hype, actually people tend to think it's just played by maybe idlers or people who have nothing much to do. But look here, we have lawyers shooting pool, and they're very good. I won't mention, them, some of them. Yeah. We have doctors playing pool, and they are very good. We have like Mchana Pool and Grill. I can say we have every professional, name it. Pilots.
KBC Kekoso champions.
Pilots. Go. Thank you for inviting Kekoso in the in this topic. So we have a good example in Kekoso, where even the MDs or very, very highly ranked officials of those parastatals partake in playing the sport. So really, the sport is there, and it's for all of us. It's for every kind of a person. It has no class. You have that young man playing at Gikomba, you have that person playing at Kariobangi in the makeshifts against that person hosted maybe in a very big hotel, say like these 5-star hotels, and they still play pool. In a competition, they will meet and they'll play the same pool. So pool has no class at all, has no demarcation. It's all round, it's for everyone, including, I have seen members of parliament, elected leaders, governors participating in playing pool. So really, it's a sport. I actually would wonder why it has not received this much accreditation from the government, while actually the highly ranked officials of the government participate in shooting the very game.
What would I say? think there is another sport where you say if you're playing against a potential sponsor, you lose. So make sure you don't beat him. So you could lose a 7-baller to a governor. Let's talk about officiating at this highest level, because it is stringent, and there are regulations that we take for granted when we play socially. What are these regulations that come in at this level?
I suppose what they're pushing now is the 8-ball rules, which the black ball rules, which actually during the Queen's tourney, now you come to mention it, 1 or 2 players who are coming through, that was their major issue, because you found someone who would have made it to the next was not so conversant with these rules. So I think also that training for rules is important, but that will come with the building and the way more players playing are more unified rules, because there are people who play old rules, there are people who play depending. So it's when you go somewhere, when you pick the cue stick you want to play, you have to ask, what rules are you playing? Yes, but right now at the top level, they're playing 8-ball rules most places.
Just clarify on that.
I would say KPBF right now has endeavored to anchor on the international standard kind of rules of playing. And this is black ball rules, as opposed to the then house rules, where you just arrange or make an arrangement on how you're going to do it. But for every sport, for every competition, to be effective even in the world map, you have to begin it off with the standards that are required internationally. In this case, is the world 8-ball. Black ball, actually. Black ball rules, they are the ones being used, and that is what we are inculcating even in those social places where pool is played.
Just to clarify on them, because you know everyone knows, for example, how do you have that track set up? Who breaks? What are the rules that come up around the breaking?
Okay.
What are you allowed to do? You know, we see people sitting on pool tables.
So when the rack is set, when the rack is set, there's a way you set the rack. Actually, the yellow balls go to make a J shape, and then these other colors are put one after the other, sort of. So when the rack is set, then for you to decide who goes first, who breaks the balls first, you do what we call a lag. You take 2 balls with the 2 opponents. They try hit the ball to the edge, to the farthest edge of the table. So the ball that comes very close back to the edge that you began, that is the person who has the honors to choose whether to break the balls, to start off, or give that chance to the opponent. Yeah.
Very well. Playing rules. For example, I mentioned there are those who will sit on a table to try, difficult shots. What are the rules around that?
Playing rules?
Yes. Once you break.
Once you break, in black ball
what
rules,
are the do's and the don'ts? There are those everyone knows. If I pick, say, the yellow ball and you're playing the reds, then I've got to do away with the yellows before I get to the black.
The moment you break the balls, you either put a ball or at least 2 balls past the center of the table, backwards from the point that you broke. At least
means
2
they come
balls,
towards you.
Yes, towards you. At least 2 balls must pass the center line of the table, or at least a ball goes in. Well, sometimes you will break, and that doesn't happen. That becomes a foul, and your opponent is awarded a chance to either re-rack the frame or continue the way the frame is, but with a free shot. That means he has an extra shot where he can bang on any ball. Again, when you're breaking, you're not supposed to put in the white ball. If the white ball checks in, then the opponent also gets a chance to have either the whole setup re-racked, or play continues from there with 2 visits, or maybe a free shot and another visit.
Well, that is something, because depending on which house rules you say, they always say either one ball, if you break, it either goes in or there's a ball that matches.
So in the process of playing, actually, every time you hit a ball, the object ball, either ball got to go in the pocket, or at least touches the cushion. Either the white ball or even the object ball at least has to touch the cushion. So you can't play like just close here, like some people would do.
We call it snookering.
Yeah, that snookering has to come with style.
Well, Michael, yes.
Yes. Even the two major things you always ask is, do my two shots follow? And in the black ball, you get 2 shots on the black as well. So those are things that people, if someone comes and sees you playing black ball for the first time, they'll be like, I know this guy is lying to us. So that sensitization is also important of those rules.
Well, and that's high-level competition, because house rules then would apply to other competitions. Now, let me talk about the opportunities. The All Africa Championship is coming up. Just give us an outlook of this championship and what it means for KPBF.
Well, All African Pool Championships is here with us. Actually, the games begin on 11th in South Africa up to 15th, with an extension of another competition called Holy Cup, but that is optional. But the main event will be from 11th to 15th. Kenya is prepared. Kenya went through a process of selection. 8 men, 8 ladies qualified to form Team Kenya. And right now the concern is 2 days to the event. Kenya team, the one that will carry the flag of Kenya to African Championships, has not yet been funded by the government. And that's a worry for the young people. And actually, while I sit here, I must be that voice for those young people who aspired to represent our nation, who aspired to carry the flag of Kenya high. And up to this minute, they haven't been funded yet.
Good. Now, looking at it, there is also the fact that pool is now going to become an Olympic sport. We saw dance, break dancing. They call it dance sport now. We saw break dancing become an Olympic sport. Sure. What are the opportunities that are coming, and what are the conversations you're having with the National Olympic Committee of Kenya?
I know I'm probably not the best person to speak on that. The little I know is that at least finally they'll be a leg to stand on to push for the funding through NOC. Because at least that money passes with the sports that the people are there. So there is a light probably at the end of the tunnel. I think Pastor would know.
KPBF had their first assignment to see that Kenya participates in African Championships. From there, they would now to the second phase of preparing for the Olympics, engaging the stakeholders to this effect. The NOC and all that. I mean, we will be engaging the body that is concerned with the Olympics, probably give us the modalities and all that, because pool is going to the map and Kenya ought not to be left out. In fact, seriously, Kenya is in the world map right now. Our own president is in the world map. He actually is being endowed as maybe the most influential person, leader in East Africa, Africa, and the world at large. Just the other day on TV, they made a very serious engagements with Haiti. That means Kenya is on the map. Our president is on the map. Everything else in Kenya should just follow suit. We should just be in the map, because it's about Kenya, it's about our flag soaring very high than anything else.
Oh. Yes. Thank you very much. Pasi Ongasa is with Ganda is with the Kenya Pool and Billiards Federation. So, and they're here, and wish Team Kenya all the best in South Africa. And Michael Kirago is with the Pubs and Restaurants Association of Kenya, because that's where most of the sport is domiciled, besides the social halls and also institutions of higher learning. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
The last one.
Yeah.
Because I have to break now.
I would have wanted to make an appeal, a special appeal and a very humble appeal to the sports ministry, to our CS, Ababu Namwamba, to the principal secretary, and in a very humble manner again, we would want to invite the president's intervention into this matter so that we can have some funding. We have a day to go.
Okay.
And actually, we have a budget that has got to be met. And we are appealing because we believe our president is astute, is considerable. He promotes youth affairs. And from his style of economic model, bottom up, it is the high time that we got these young people from the bottom up through sports.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nganda, for that, the appeal. And, His Excellency the President is chairing the cabinet. If they get that leak from, then I think maybe somebody will listen to you. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for that.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be taking a short break now, and when we come back, let's talk athletics and also an update of what's happening in our news cycle.